Alright, let's go ahead and make that transition to ZBrush. So exactly where we last left off, we're going to go ahead now and start to export these over into ZBrush. So what's the best way to do that? Well, the first thing you want to check is you want to make sure that everything you are ready to export now is on particle distance 5, okay? So why is that? Because you have enough detail there to inform ZBrush as to where your folds are going to lie. Anything above 5 or something like 10 or something like that is probably going to give you rather undesirable results. Okay, so let's keep it at particle distance 5. That's a nice trade-off between the power of the GPU and something to work on in ZBrush. Okay, so once you're happy with your garment, you can go to File, and we're going to export OBJ brackets selected, because of course we don't want the belt, we don't want the collared ruffles just yet. So let's go ahead and do OBJ, find a suitable place to go ahead and export it to. This looks fine. I'm going to go ahead and export this as shirt MD. Now I put the kind of suffix of MD there just to remind myself that this is the raw export from MD basically. I haven't done anything to it, it's going to be a raw export. Now the settings here are quite essential, and unfortunately it's not going to save us from any kind of particular issues that we're going to experience in ZBrush per se, and let me go through that in just a second. But essentially what we want to do here is we want to make sure it's a single object. Okay, we don't want to uncheck all of these because we're exporting what we've only selected. We want to weld everything, and we want to keep it thin. Okay, that's fine there. Scale at this point in time doesn't matter. I believe ZBrush just has its own interpretation about the scale anyhow. And it says save absolute texture image file path. I mean, you don't need that, but you can't take it off either. So look at those settings. That's the settings you want to mimic there, and we'll go ahead and press OK. And now we'll export out the shirt. Okay, so we'll leave that for now. Let's go ahead and we'll freeze the shirt now, because we don't want to change anything about the shirt. So let's have a look at the kind of ruffled collar. Now the ruffled collar, of course, is on particle distance 20. That's not very good. We need something a bit higher than that. So let's go over to our patterns here, and we'll change the particle distance down to, you guessed it, 5. Okay, give ZBrush a bit of time to think. We haven't even played with the shrinkage weft and shrinkage wrap yet, or warp, sorry. So we can, of course, go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and hit simulate and see how that changes our ruffles. We should get some detail. We might even be lucky to get some folds around there, around the neck, and yes, there they are, just lightly putting themselves into existence now. And there you have it. So if it looks a little bit distracting with the lines, you can actually come in here and remove the internal seam lines so you can see what the ruffles actually look like without those lines drawn in. That's a good result. That's a decent result. I'm happy with that. Okay, we could play just a little bit with some of those settings. So let's select some of the ruffles here. I'm not so bothered about this collar here. Let's try shrinkage weft. We'll do 102. And well, yeah, we're not getting much joy out of that. Shrinkage warp. It gets a little bit lower, but yeah, I mean, settings on or off doesn't really change it for me. So I'll turn the simulation off. I'm happy with that. And just like we did with the shirt, select all the parts that make up the ruffled collar, go to export, OBJ selected, and then we're going to call this ruffled collar OBJ, MD OBJ, and then single object, weld, thin, scale doesn't matter, and that's fine. Press OK. Fabulous. Okay, so when we've done that, you can go ahead and save it if you like it. That's fine. Save project. Just make sure you've got everything nice and tidied away. And of course, we can now go back and load up some of the other garments that we've done, like the vest as well, and export them in the same manner. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, save yourself a loading time there, and we're back to our trousers here. And now our trousers do look disappointingly basic maybe compared to some of the other garments you've seen out there, but there's a good reason why as to why I haven't gone ahead and put in pockets and kind of belt loops and all that sort of stuff, and you'll see why once we get to ZBrush. But let's unfreeze it, and let's make sure that that's the particle distance of 5 that we've got. Yes, it is. That's fine. That's all good to go. File, we'll export this, OBJ selected, and we'll call this trousers MD. Hit save. Single object, weld, thin, scale doesn't matter. Okay. And now all we've got left to do is the same thing for the vest. Save you on the loading time there as well. Okay, fantastic. So there we go. We've got the vest there. That's looking okay. Again, a lot of this is going to be changed in ZBrush anyway, but the one thing we haven't done with this is we haven't actually done this particle distance 5 just yet. So I'm going to do everything but this standing collar part here, and you'll see why in a minute. Let's change particle distance down to 5. And give Marvelous Designer some time to think. Okay. So it's not really going to do so much for us. It's just going to kind of create these little... make these a little bit more apparent. That they're not going to be incredibly apparent just because of the kind of material we've chosen here. We've done some shrinkage, weft and warp. It's the last little chance to kind of play around with any of these materials. I mean, leather, cowhide, I'm not exactly sure if that's what I wanted. Perhaps I might go for cotton canvas and see how that changes. And press simulate. Yeah, we get some more deliberate kind of folds, although we have lost some as well. So maybe I might go back to the... Let's go lambskin. Let's see what that does for us. Okay, so lambskin is giving us some more folds. It looks like it's a softer kind of material. And if we go back to the cowhide... Yeah, so we kind of got some of those still in there, still present. We can change some of these. Well, the thickness as well, I don't know about you, but the thickness here, this looks a little bit too thin for me, so I'm just going to come in here, turn simulation off, and maybe bump the thickness up to 2.5 millimeters. Now that seems a bit exaggerated, but what you're going to see is that the folds are going to be chunkier looking. Okay, they're not going to be so thin, right? They're going to be representative of what the kind of material thickness is. And we can also do that slightly here with additional thickness colliding. So we could maybe, let's just double that to see what that result gives us. Remember to take simulation off every time you do so. Otherwise you could end up in a never-ending loop of simulations. Okay, there we go. That's alright. That's okay. Yeah, let's hit simulate. There we go. So we've got quite a chunkier looking garment now. Okay, lots of folds around there. You can check the heat map again. Yeah, so it's pretty tight around her chest. Yeah, that should be okay. I mean, we're happy to take that into ZBrush now. So here's a couple of things. I'm actually going to do 2 different exports today, this time, because I'll explain a little bit in ZBrush later on. But if we just select this now, we don't do the collar stand, just the collar, okay, and the rest of the garment here. Let's go to File. We'll export just as we've done. And we're going to call this Vest MD, but we're going to call it Vest 2. Okay, because we haven't selected the standing collar part. Single object weld thin, scale doesn't matter, press OK. And now let's do another export. We'll select the standing collar this time, and we'll export that. And you guessed it, we're going to name this Vest MD OBJ. Settings should still be the same, that's fine, press OK. Right, now the reason for that being is I'll explain it a little bit here, but you see how this was kind of undesirable, or it kind of slumped a little bit, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to experiment with actually just exporting that as a separate floating piece that's not attached to anything in ZBrush, and I'm just going to maybe extrude some of the edges up there and try and merge it with the collar up here. That's the thinking at the moment, which is why I've exported 2 variations of this particular garment here. Okay, so all that's left to do now is swap over to ZBrush. Right, so here we are in ZBrush, and all you want to do is you want to load up the Z tool that we saved after we tweaked that base mesh ready for Marvelous Designer. So you should still have that Z tool standing by, and I've got it loaded here in my dock. So I'm just going to go ahead and left click and drag it out. There she is. The exact same figure type we had that we exported over. And it doesn't matter, but I just like to set polyskin material. Let's frame it up. Perfect. Well, maybe hit it again. There we go. Okay, right. So we've got to import all those extra garment bits now. So we go to our subtool here. We've got a lot of stuff here. We might want to actually create a folder for all of this now. So let's go ahead and look at doing that. We'll create a new folder. We'll call this body. And then we'll just kind of... Oh, can we add that to the body? Yes, we can. We'll just kind of drag all these implements in. There we go. Just so that we can tidy this up a little bit. Oh, don't forget our toes. Right, so we can close the body folder, and there we go. So let's create a new folder now. New folder, and we'll call this, well, we'll call it garments. Why not? Garments. Oh dear, I did not want it to be in there. Alright, ZBrush. Okay, it's alright. We'll move it back into there, don't worry. There you go. And the toes too. Hang on. Not the whole folder, ZBrush. Oh dear, what's happened to my... Never mind, we'll just import something, shall we? Let's just import a cylinder. It's made it in that folder again. ZBrush. Work with me. It's probably saying to me, look, don't be stupid. You should know how to use this software. Insert cylinder. Hey, there we go. And we'll do a new folder. Garments. Hey, perfect. Okay, it took us a while, but there we are. So, let's go ahead and we'll click on the cylinder because we're going to replace this. We do have to insert a random kind of shape first because otherwise it will replace any active subtool you've got selected. So we've got this dummy subtool here, which we're going to import over the top of. So if we go back to where we saved our stuff, there's all our garments there. So let's go ahead and import them. We'll put the shirt in. The shirt's disappeared, but it's there. We'll create a new dummy subtool, import trousers. We can see the trousers there, but they're not appearing. Does that mean they're not working? No, hang on a second, you'll see. Cylinder 3D again, import, and we'll do the collar, why not? Add that to the list, and then we'll add another cylinder 3D, import. Let's go with the vest for now, just a normal vest. Okay, so where are all the clothes? Look up. There we are. Zoom out. Yes. So remember when I said ZBrush kind of interpreted its own kind of scales and units? Well, here you go. Now, to be fair, it might not be ZBrush's fault. We did set it to auto scale when we imported the Marvelous Designers, so it just auto scaled it to something humongous. Okay, so we're going to have to reduce all of these now. So that's going to be a bit of an annoying thing to do. We could click on the folder here to try and select all the garments, I believe. And once you've got the folder selected, we're going to have to do this one by one. We'll go to deformation and we'll resize it once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Okay, and I know this is a really annoying thing, and I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but we'll just do it this way for now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go to your next subtool. Select the ruffled collar, deformation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then one more, which is the vest. This is not too much. Thankfully, we haven't got a lot of subtools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, let's have a look now. We'll frame it all up. The garment's still a little bit too big, okay, but honestly, the way they sit at the moment, we're going to have to arrange a few things anyway. So let's take something quite, well, substantial, like the trousers, for instance. Okay, so let's scale it down once more. So it looks like another scale down is in effect. We'll alt-click to go to another subtool, and we'll just scale it down once more. So we want to scale it down 8 times. There we go, okay. And let's take our trousers, and we're going to use this kind of new gizmo. I say new gizmo, but it's been around for a while. And we're just going to try and line this up with her body as much as we can. And you can see it's still a little bit big, so we are going to have to do some best fit adjustments here. Okay, and this is going to be, it's going to be basically based upon what you can see with your eyes. So something, there we go, something potentially like that. Let's go ahead and switch it over to matte cap gray so we can see what we're doing. And you might be thinking, well, that's a little bit misaligned, but of course a few adjustments here and there, and you can see we've kind of got the result. Okay, so we're gonna have to do that manually for each of these, unfortunately. Just unlock that gizmo and lock it again. And and put this into place. And you can see, whilst it looked a little bit daunting to do at first, it is actually quite a easy thing to do. It's not too annoying to do. There we go. Okay, and now we'll do the same thing for the vest. Unlock the gizmo, bring it up, lock it, bring down the vest, resize it, try and put it into the best place you can. It's a bit small, let's resize it. Because all of these garments, we've never actually put them together yet, so we don't actually know what they look like once we put them together. And you can see here that there's going to be a bit of clipping with the vest anyhow. So, as I say, it's kind of all part of the ZBrush tweaking prospect. Now, you can see that the collar that we've got from Marvelous Designer is now invisible. That's because it's got a back face applied to it. Now, we couldn't help that in Marvelous Designer, so we're going to have to change that in ZBrush here. So what you want to do is you want to go down on your right hand toolbar here, go to display properties and press double, and there you go, they're all back. Okay, you want to do the same for probably the ruffled collars as well. There you go. And then same thing, last one, we'll bring the gizmo back up, lock it, bring it back down, and then place that into the correct position. Okay, let's line it up a bit. Now the ruffled collar wants to actually sit on the inside of the vest. Okay, that was our original plan. So you can see there that also has to be adjusted somewhat as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll put her hair back on because it's a little bit garish looking at the character without her hair. So there you go, we put the hair back on. Okay, so there you go guys, we've gone ahead, we've got all the kind of hard work that we did in Marvelous Designer, we've exported it over into ZBrush successfully now. So now we can actually see a quick preview as to what the character would look like with the kind of basic base mesh done. I say the base mesh for the garments, that is. Okay, the job that we're going to have to do now is come in ZBrush here and start tweaking all these, get them looking correct, get them working nicely with each other, and of course restoring some of the folds that we've done in Marvelous Designer, because we will lose them as we kind of remesh all this and make it sculpting friendly. Okay, so that's what we'll do in the next video.